at the end of the day, during that whole session, they ended up denouncing our own country. I mean, I was shocked.
Morning guys, good morning once again. Welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel that discusses South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. Please do understand that I am not a politician. I do not have deep knowledge in politics. However, I am a South African citizen who is also a voter, and I do believe that my views count when it comes to political affairs of our beautiful country. So there is someone in South Africa that is so difficult to please. You know, it's very difficult to please Moeletsi Mbeki, especially when it comes to the ANC. He doesn't want to see them for anything. And in this case, I think him having to criticize John Steenhuisen is a bit uncomfortable with that for some reason. I don't know, man, that's how it feels like to me. And it is because now this sounds like it is because John Steenhuisen or the Democratic Alliance has started sounding like the ANC. That is why he's just going after everybody, because I know for sure that he enjoys criticizing the ANC. So Moeletsi Mbeki is the chairperson of the South African Institute of International Affairs. So he always comes out to really go hard at the ANC. He's even the person that says that the ANC is allowing Frelimo to peddle narcotics within South Africa. So, right, Kev? Just want us to talk about how other people are saying President Cyril Ramaphosa was very prepared, and his team, it's very important to mention his team, they were very prepared for that meeting. And to some degree, I believe so, because for starters, we all know that that Donald Trump's ego is up there, and they knew that they needed to brush it. And one example of that, it was when President Cyril Ramaphosa said, you helped us at such a time, you know, and we appreciate that. Did you see how we reacted? Did you see that? Did you notice that? Yeah, I am the man that fits the entire world. And number two, I liked the composure of President Cyril Ramaphosa, though he was thrown off a bit by that video when it came on the screen, that Julius Malema documentary. But when now Donald Trump was like holding those papers and saying death, horrible death, you see things like that. And in the end, he took those papers while President Cyril Ramaphosa was still talking and put them in the hands of President Cyril Ramaphosa. President Cyril Ramaphosa collected those like there was nothing that was happening. You know, just at the end of the day, what Donald Trump wants, he wants to throw you off. So like he did with Zelensky, so that you don't know whether you're coming or going. At that moment, he will be pouncing on you like nobody's business. I'm not saying the day was perfect. But when you are dealing with somebody whose head is upside down like Donald Trump, you need to understand, you need to hold your composure together until the thing is over. And according to me, the provocation that Donald Trump was using on that day did not give the results that he wanted. And I also believe that they were a bit confident, though they were a bit ambushed with that video clip, and I'll take that they were not prepared for that. You know, they thought maybe there was going to be a discussion about Julius Malema, not a whole documentary, guys, for the world to see. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to keep you for long. Let me just allow you to watch these video clips, and I'll be back with my closing comment.
We're right that the Trump administration had a plan to, quote, embarrass the president of South Africa. What did you make of today's meeting?
So what happened today, Jay, was actually what I was told is exactly going to happen. I had a few meetings with some Republicans, even some Democrats this week, as soon as I arrived in DC earlier this week, and they said, we don't think President Cyril Ramaphosa actually knows what he's going to be walking into. He's going to be utterly embarrassed. And as soon as I started hearing that, I spoke to the presidency's team and I was asking them, how ready are you for any possibility of an embarrassment, of a dressing down, of a repeat of a Zelensky-like moment? And they said, we're over-prepared. If we are going to confront a situation where we see a dressing down, we have a president who knows how to stay calm, a president who is a skilled negotiator, and he's going to be able to handle that situation.
So Clement alluded to the Zelensky meeting, obviously. I wonder, it used to be the greatest thing a world leader could achieve, or not the greatest thing, but a very desired thing would be an Oval Office meeting with the President of the United States, cameras there. People wanted that. And I wonder if Zelensky and then what happened today might make that less desired, or at least more fraught.
At least now you have to be prepared, right? And I think he was. Look, this was an ambush. It was orchestrated. This is Donald Trump once again lecturing a foreign leader. You just watch the body language. He was sort of tense, dismissive, cutting him off. But I will say the South African president, to your point, Clement, he did seem prepared. He was calm. He was almost friendly in tone. He smiled. He was very measured. He kept his cool. I'm guessing he saw what happened with Zelensky, and he was prepared for it.
In the meantime, he was sharpening his sword, and when he was ready, he pounced on them.
Should they have anticipated that? And how should they have handled it?
Well, they should have anticipated it, and they should have prepared very thoroughly as to who was going to answer those questions. They should never have allowed the team to come in. It should have been one person, either the president himself or one other person who he selected. And they should have prepared what answers to give to what questions. They never did that. They didn't prepare, and so Trump walked away with them.
So I suppose, listening to what you're saying, then you do agree with those who are saying it was not coordinated, because when you listen to, for example, Zingiswalu's COSATU's president, she was quite clear, actually, on the issue of expropriation and quite clear on what needs to be done. And then you listen to Ernie Els, you listen to some of the delegation there. They talk about a South Africa that needs help. The ANC has been there for 35 years. Things simply aren't working, even referencing that Madiba got out of prison and he wasn't vengeful and all of that. So did they need to have a coordinated message?
Absolutely. It's because they didn't rehearse. They should have rehearsed for this question because they knew it was coming. Trump has been repeating this many times. So they knew the question was coming, and they should have had a rehearsal as to how it was going to be handled and who was going to handle the question and what were the issues that we're going to raise. At the end of the day, during that whole session, they ended up denouncing our own country. I mean, I was shocked. Our own presidential delegation is going to the largest economy in the world with the most visible president in the world, and they're telling the world we're a crime-ridden country. So what are they doing to the tourism for South Africa? What are they doing to the reputation of the country if they're going to the White House to say we're a crime-ridden country? Anyway, Trump didn't ask them. He just said there's genocide against Afrikaans people or Afrikaans farmers. He didn't ask whether we have crime or we don't have crime, but they are the ones who are bad-mouthing the country. That's what happens if you don't. They should ask themselves that question. Secondly, what does he do? What is he going to do with those people when they get back, when they get to the United States? Those are the two primary questions they should have asked themselves. In my view, Trump is trying to build what is called a fifth column in South Africa. He's trying to build a group that is antagonistic, especially to the ANC, but answers to him. Because those people, they left the country with South African passports. We don't know what Trump is going to do with them. And then they're going to come back because they still have their passports. You can't exclude them from the country.
I suppose then it's also quite alarming that when you see the composition of the delegation and then later to hear that some couldn't make it into the room because the numbers were, also limited, and the president saying that they had to fight hard to get COSATU's president Zingiswalose into the meeting. So doesn't that raise a red flag for you?
Well, I asked myself first, what was COSATU doing in that delegation? This is a government delegation. Okay, he asked for the golfers. Trump himself asked for the golfers and for Johan Rupert. So, yes, they were his guests in a way. But I don't understand what role did COSATU have. And then the president of COSATU says that we are violent people, we cut each other's throats up. What was that all about? It was a shocking performance by that group.
The issue of land expropriation, because that was another moment where you listened to the U.S. president speak about the fact that, farms are being taken, speaking about the fact that property is being seized. But we didn't hear the minister speak about
two issues that Trump has been harping on: the genocide against the Afrikaans population and the expropriation of their farms. Are in the government of national unity or are not in the government, it's unrelated to the two issues of genocide against the Afrikaans population and of expropriation of their farms.
I'm going to get to just possibly behind closed doors in just a moment, but there's something that, especially when we started seeing the developments in the Oval Office started happening, we saw the international media taking a keen interest in what was happening. And the CNN Stephen Collinson writes, it's the new Hunger Games of world politics, the televised Oval Office takedown by President Donald Trump. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa was the latest leader to become an Make America Great Again prop Wednesday, as Trump lectured him on false claims that white South African farmers are the victims of genocide. Foreign leaders now enter the hallowed lair of the U.S. president, who runs press conferences like they are the WWE cage matches at their peril. Your take?
Well, my company used to produce a program called Big Brother. It's called reality TV. That's what Trump does in the Oval Office with foreign heads of state. He sets the questions, he is the judge, he is the jury, and he decides how everything, and it creates a lot of drama, which is what we used to create when we produced Big Brother. It was never unrehearsed, by the way. There was a lot of planning, but that's what that Oval Office encounter is. It's a lot of drama where Trump comes up always as the winner. He's always the winner.
So how do you then, as a world leader, particularly President Cyril Ramaphosa, come into the Oval Office against this man who never wants to lose, seen as a bully by some, and still be able to set and assert yourself and set the agenda for your country, put your best foot forward without also antagonizing him?
Yes, but Trump also has a question to answer. Why is he building up a group? And it's a very well-targeted group, by the way. He is targeting the blue-collar white workers in South Africa, who are predominantly Afrikaans. He's targeting that group. He's targeting the lower middle class, Afrikaans-speaking white group. So it's a well-targeted group which he's taking to America. Now, why is he taking this group to America? Cyril should have asked him, why are you taking these people to America? What do you do with them? When they get to America, what do you train them to do?
Do you think that question didn't come up behind closed doors?
I don't know, but it didn't come out. It doesn't matter whether it came out or not behind closed. It matters what it tells the people of South Africa. We're having sections of our population being turned against the South African government by Donald Trump. What does he plan to do with these people? Is he planning to organize an insurrection against the South African government? Because he's running this narrative about this hugely victimized section and a very clearly targeted section of our population. Is he going to use this population for an insurrection against the government of South? That he should have asked him. Our president should have asked him, is that what you're planning to do with these people? And then let's hear what Trump says.
Was that the moment for Team South Africa to pull out the stats and actually try and counter what is a narrative that we all know is false?
No, Trump is not interested in statistics. He's interested in effect. Statistics don't give effect. He wants drama. You can't create drama with statistics. You have to make a story. He gives a story. He doesn't give any statistics. He shows these crosses. You know, if you go to Arlington Cemetery in Virginia, you have crosses like that for the soldiers who have been killed in the many wars America is fighting. If you go to France, in the cemeteries from the First World War, the Second World War, you have crosses like that. The cemeteries of the Commonwealth, in Belgium, you have crosses. You could take a picture like that anyway.
So in light of what you just said, right, and looking at Team South Africa's performance in the Oval Office, that delegation, do you think, because you say they were ill-prepared, do you think behind closed doors they were possibly better prepared?
I doubt it. I doubt it. Because the question is, what does Trump want from South Africa? They should have asked him that question. He's preoccupying himself with the internal affairs of South Africa. What's he after? What does he want from us? Instead, they go there and ask him for help. They say, we're a crime-ridden society. We need help. We need drones. We need this, that, and that. South Africa makes drones. We don't need to go to the Americans to be given drones. We make drones.
So when Johan Rupert speaks about Starlink, that it must be at every police station in the country, was that the ground being prepared for that?
I have no idea what that was all about. Why do we need Starlink? We have our own telecommunications systems in South Africa. We have huge cellular phone companies in South Africa. They can set up a telecommunication system for the police stations if they don't have one. But I'm sure our police stations have their telecommunication system. We don't need to go and ask the Americans for one.
It seems, though, especially when you look at the police's budget currently, there's a chunk of it, right, about 80% of it being spent on personnel, and then you're looking at another portion being spent on administration. One wonders, though, how much of that is available to spend towards crime-fighting efforts in the country. So maybe, if I'm listening to what you're saying, it's time to rethink priorities in that order and stop going outside of the country to try and get more money.
Well, exactly. You see, but this is to do with management of government departments of South Africa. It's got nothing to do with money, with technologies from Elon Musk. It's how to manage a department of the country, a crime-fighting department, which is the police.
So before the South African delegation left for the U.S., I was in conversation with the president's spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya, who was saying that the U.S. has what South Africa needs and South Africa has what the U.S. needs as well. The relationship has been mutually beneficial and all of that, and it's time now to reset these particular relations. Do you think that performance in the Oval Office got that message of resetting and also trying to ensure that you reimagine this relationship? It made it get lost in translation somewhere.
Yeah, because the president's office and the president and his spokespeople, they haven't explained to us why does our relationship with the United States need resetting. We have over 600 American companies Many of them have been here for decades. Ford Motor Company has been here for decades and decades. Why does it need a reset relationship between South Africa and the United States? They haven't explained that. It's because they are falling into Trump's propaganda. And they think Trump's propaganda is something we have to answer to. But they're trying to be polite. Trump is making propaganda. He has a plan for South Africa. He has targeted certain social groups which he wants to use for his agenda. You don't need to reset anything. There's no need to reset our relationship with the United States. Our trade relationship with the United States is working fine. We have 600 or more American companies. Go to them and...
Yeah, okay, guys, now that we have seen, what are your views? What are your views? Kindly share them in the comment section. Please do share. I'm looking forward to reading those. If I have time, I'm definitely going to respond. But if time does not allow me, I try by all possible means that I react so that I show that I appreciate your interaction in my channel. Do have yourself a beautiful day.